Welcome to ProjectME, the podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multi-millionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME, the podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. You are listening to ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast. This is episode 10, and it's Daily Success Habits of a Multi-Millionaire Entrepreneur. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys today on this quickie podcast several of my key daily success actions that I take that definitely has contributed to my financial success and my overall well-being and just a much better state of mind. So I get asked the question often, what are your secrets to success? What do successful people do that's different from people who aren't successful? So in getting asked those questions, it made me go, you know what? I should probably share, what some of my daily success habits are. And so I just want to share a couple of the top ones with you. But first off, I want to say this, right? When people say like, well, what is it like? How are you multimillionaire? Like, what is it that you do differently? It's a little bit of a cliche line, but it's true. Successful people do what unsuccessful people aren't willing to do. It's really as blunt as that. I'm willing to go the extra 10 steps. I'm willing to do the extra thing. I'm willing to read an extra book. I'm willing to pay for courses or personal development to further expand my skill set and my mind. So it really just comes down to successful people are willing to do what unsuccessful people are not. That's why there aren't that many people who are considered, to be successful. And if we define success by money, a very small percentage in the entire world are millionaires, and then an even smaller percentage are multimillionaires. And the reason is what I stated. It is definitely takes consistent action day in and day out, even on days when you really don't feel like it. And it takes a lot of discipline, and not just physical discipline, but it's a lot of mental discipline and disciplining your own mindset and your ego and that critical thinking that comes up. And it's stuff that comes up for everyone, regardless of how much you have in your bank account. Sometimes people who I've met who are worth, even $100 million, they even have more chatter going on in their brain. It just looks a little different. They feel like, well, I'm worth all this money. I should be doing more, or I should be saving the world because I have all this money, but it's not even enough money to do that. So we all have different levels of that chatter, and it's being disciplined about managing all that chatter and thoughts that go on in all of our minds. So that's what I mean by discipline. But let me get to some of my daily success habits. And some of these success habits are also habits of other multimillionaires who I'm friends with or who I've, worked with in business for a long time. So I do see a common theme. It's not just unique to me, but they are unique to people who are financially wealthy and what we would consider to be, in our society, successful. And I don't just mean money, but I mean have a really good mindset, high self-worth, and actually enjoy their lives, right? Because otherwise, why would you want to listen to some of my best daily success habits if I just had a lot of money and I was miserable? I mean, I would hope you wouldn't listen to that. So I'm going to share 3 of them with you. The first one is and it's kind of in order on what I do when I wake up, because that's what I would think you guys would want to hear, is I make a list of my absolute must-dos. Like, what is it I have to get done today? Like, this is getting done. Like, this is a deal breaker if it doesn't. And when you really ask yourself that, sometimes it's only one thing on the list. Sometimes it's two. So I write that down first, just what comes to my mind immediately. And then I draw a line and I write below that my moderate dos, right? You can come up with any clever name you want. Meaning, if I have time after the must-dos, what's the next priority, right? And it's my moderate dos. So I put some of those down. Not all of them, right? Because that wouldn't even be realistic. I put down goals for the day that are actually achievable. I don't do too far of a stretch on them. I do what's achievable. And then once I've achieved them and it feels good, I can always add to it. Versus having this long, crazy list and then only ending up crossing off two things and feeling like a failure for the day. Like, well, that's not really great for a good mindset, right? So I see a lot of people doing that. You fill your to-do list and that's great and all, but then at the end of the day, you've done like two things on it and you feel like a failure. So I would rather put on my list what is definitely definitely possible. What can I actually reach for the day? And then if I finish those, which happens sometimes in a good day when I've had like amazing coffee experience, then I can always write another list, right? So just to recap that first one, I write down my absolute must-dos. And to be frank, there is usually no more than two. Sometimes if I'm in a launch mode or there's, an event I'm speaking at or something like that, sometimes there's three, but I don't do more than that, okay? Because if they're that important that they're getting the absolute must-do on my list, then I shouldn't spread myself so thin, because then it's not getting the time and care and attention they deserve. So no more than three. And then I do the moderate dos. And I would say for the moderate dos, just put two. Don't do any more than that. Any more than that's a setup for failure. You can always write a second list after you cross off everything on the first one, and it'll feel so good. And I do my lists. I'm obsessed with office supplies, as I share a lot. And I do mine on Post-it notes and with Sharpies, because the gratification of crossing off a task that I complete with a Sharpie on a Post-it note feels incredible to me. Plus, I can just take that Post-it note and, put it on my planner, or I can easily like throw it in my purse on the go. I don't want it in my phone per se, because I want that wonderful feeling of a marker and swiping it off my list. Okay. So number 2, as far as success habits go, again, these are daily success habits, are self-care. Okay. And what I mean by self-care, and I joke about this for the ladies listening, I don't mean like getting your eyebrows threaded and a facial and a bikini wax. Okay. That's awesome. I call that like necessary maintenance. That's in a different category. What I mean by self-care is actually taking care of my health and my well-being, both mentally and physically and emotionally too. And so I put self-care as a number 1 priority. It's not something that needs to go on my list, on my absolute list, because this is a given. This has to come first. Without me being in the best state of mind and physically sound, I can't make money. I can't serve others. I can't help other people transform their lives. I can't inspire people. I be a great mom to my dogs. I can't do anything. So that has to come first. What that looks like for me is it's really important for me to do some kind of movement in the morning. I use the word movement instead of exercise because exercise can get a little tricky. Because we don't always have time and you don't always have to exercise, but I do believe we should move. So for me, that looks like going to take a yoga class. I could go for a walk. I could actually go, do boxing or something more intense, but there needs to be movement. It gets my blood flowing. It makes me feel better. It helps me wake up. And then also what I like to do first thing in the morning is write. So I take out a journal if that's what I want to write in that day. Sometimes I actually like writing in my planner. If you have a planner that has like a note space, or there's lots of cool planners that have different spaces to write in. I love writing in a planner because it's so easy to just like go back and reflect on what you wrote on that particular day in a planner. And so I just like writing what comes to my mind. It's not like, the traditional writing, a therapist might tell you to do, like, oh, go journal your feelings. I mean, that's great too. I'm more talking about, I write things that are inspiring me in life, things that I want to achieve, cool ideas I had for my business. A lot of ideas come up for me, at the end of a yoga class, or I'm driving home, or I'm in the shower, and I want to get those down in writing. One, because I'll tell myself I won't forget them, but I will. And I know a lot of you guys, are the same way. And also by writing them out, what I find is I add to it, right? So I add to that idea. So a lot of my ideas for my podcast, they come from all of you and from the feedback I get from you guys on my Instagram or on Twitter, on Facebook, or when people email in or direct message me after listening to a podcast, and they give ideas or they ask questions that prompt ideas for show titles or people I should interview. So sometimes I get an inspiring idea or a cool title or a cool freebie that I can have created for you guys. And I like making sure I get that all written down. And then I also put down goals, for example, okay, I really want to do New Year's this year. If you're listening in 2018, I want to do it in Singapore and then go to Maldives after. So I just, for, my own affirmation, for my own manifestation, I, put that down. I will be going with Mike, to spend New Year's in Singapore. And I even put where we would stay and go to the Maldives after and how that would be. And wrote how exciting under it. Just almost putting it down in writing for me makes it official, that saying oh, well, it's in writing. It's it's official. It's happening. And I haven't even planned it yet. I've done some planning in my head. I'm a master, amazing travel planner, by the way. But I put that, I have some planning going on in my head, but I haven't booked anything yet. But I've put it in there. This is happening. And it's official, and I wrote it down. So things like that come up, or if you have something that you really want to buy, or if you want to, for example, I bought a digital course today from something that I wrote yesterday saying, I really want to find out how people have really perfected the art of, building an email list and actually sending out content where people really want to open those emails. Because I don't want to waste my time or others by sending out stuff that people just delete. And I would really like to find, a course or a coach or someone who can really, fast track that for me and my ProjectME team. And what do you know? Popped up today in my feed, because that's just how the universe works oftentimes, in fact, most times. And So I bought it. So that's another great reason to write down. So when we write things down and then it's in our thought process on top of it, solutions will come up. Solutions will come up at the most random times. It's pretty incredible. So that's where the writing comes in. And then along with that writing time, I like to plan time sometime through the day. If it can't be the morning, maybe it's the end of the day, maybe it's, lunchtime. I like to plan thinking time. And I don't mean thinking like obsessing, doing a grocery list in my head, ruminating over something stupid I said to someone the other day. I mean like free thinking, time to just think about whatever. If I want to stare at a wall, I can. If I want to meditate, I can. If I want to just lay down and swing on my swinging hammock chair and just kind of daydream, I like to plan some time for that. It helps clear my mind. Sometimes I get really cool solutions to things I'm trying to figure out. Sometimes really nothing happens. It just kind of clears the clutter of my mind. So that is definitely included in my daily routine. And then the third one I'm going to give you guys today is I read and listen to what I call our mind juice or mind fuel. I definitely read and listen to something every single day that either inspires me or educates or empowers me, for sure, and entertains me. That's big, but that's a given, right? I can entertain myself. But definitely reading or listening. When I mean listening, I mean, maybe I have a digital course that I've done, but usually it's podcasts for me, which is part of why I started one, because I feel there's such high value and you can multitask while listening to them. And so I like listening to things that I learned something, or it just like reinforces something, like I already knew that, but I hadn't been thinking about it for a while, or something that's like uplifting and empowering, where it's like, yes, that was an awesome story. Like if she can do it, I can do it. So that's what I listen to. And then as far as reading, my God, I have more books that I buy than I take the time to read. I have like a giant library, but I just get so excited by so many people that I, admire, that have books that have come out, or sometimes people send me their books to read that they're promoting that come out and I really want to read them. So instead of getting overwhelmed, I just pick a book that's calling to me that day, something that, it's like that book is calling my name basically. And I just start reading where I left off. And what's amazing is I always end up reading exactly what I need to read. It's like, wow, I really needed to hear that today. It's pretty incredible. But most of the stuff I read is usually around building wealth, attracting wealth, new ways of making money while I'm sleeping, new interesting ways to make money while working less. I read a lot in that genre because that's what I'm passionate about, and that's what I teach you guys through ProjectME, is how to make money by doing your passion and doing it the easy way versus the hard way. So I like learning different strategies and hacks and ways things can be finessed that give us more free time to actually enjoy the money we make and enjoy our life. So I read a lot of different books like that. And I also like reading memoirs and biographies, because those are inspiring and empowering to me and like really charge me up. Like, you know what? This person went through a ton of crap in their life. Then they built a big business. Then they went bankrupt. Then they rebuilt it again. They were able to do it. If they're able to do it, I can do it. I love reading that stuff. It just feels so good. It's the opposite of listening to the news, which any of you who know anyone who is close to me knows I avoid the news. And this is coming from a former journalist. I avoid it. I can get the highlights of what's going on, but I don't sit and have the news running. I don't listen to news type programs on like Sirius radio in my car or on, news programs on podcasts. I like filling my brain with like nurturing mind juice that is like uplifting, educating, and empowering and entertaining. And anything that doesn't fit that category gets nixed, because why would I want to fill my brain with like negative, depressing, stressful shit? There's enough of that can go on in just your normal life or in business. I don't need to add to that. So I hope you guys liked hearing about some of the daily success habits that I've used over the years that I know have contributed to my great, personal success and financial success, along with many other multimillionaires that I've worked with. What I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to create a really great freebie that literally will take you guys through my full week of what I do daily and what I do weekly, so you guys can see exactly what those regular patterns and habits are that I do every day, and then the ones I do on a weekly basis over and over and over again over the years. And I'm not the only one who does them. Like I said, some of them are a little, unique or finessed just for me, but there definitely is a commonality between people who are very successful in their lives, happy in their lives, have great financial wealth and self-worth. So I want you guys to see that broken down in that way. For all my freebies, all you guys have to do is go to my website, and it's super easy. It's www.projectmewithtiffany.com. It's the same name as my podcast, except without my last name. So ProjectMeWithTiffany.com, and it's very obvious on the top. It says freebies. That's where my freebies will always be. There's a really cool freebie there now. There's an e-guide sitting there right now that I know you guys will love. That's there now, but I am going to add this daily and weekly success habits of multimillionaires. And I'll probably also include in there some habits that I might not do, because that might not be my thing, but I know other very successful people who use them. So you guys can pick and choose which ones that resonate with you that you'd want to integrate into your life. So hopefully that sounds cool. Again, hop over to ProjectMeWithTiffany.com to get the freebies. I love giving you guys free content and cool stuff to use, and that can be your mind juice along with listening to the podcasts. So thanks so much. If this was helpful, informative, interesting, empowering, entertaining, leave a review and let me know. And if you guys have any questions or have any ideas for podcast episodes that you would like to hear, head on over to my Instagram. Again, that's Project Me with Tiffany, and you can DM me over there, or you can email me directly right through my website. And we would love to make sure that your questions get answered and that we can inspire you guys always. So wishing you great wealth, health, and worth each and every day. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.